Oh my goodness.
Okay, stop spoiling it for yourself.
Stop spoiling it for you.
Yeah.
Stop spoiling it.
Stop spoiling it. We don't want spoilers.
Stop spoiling it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott,
I'm Luke.
I'm Jonathan.
and this is the No Way to Hollywood podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for suffering through this with us.
It's not that bad, is it?
I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see.
I mean, we are at the top 20 films ever made according to AFI's top
Yeah, so
100.
I
hope I've
really
seen
hope
some of these.
I hope that there's some good films in this list.
Okay.
We're
Well,
ready.
Let's get started. This is the penultimate video podcast of this top 100 list, and I'm
We will
so
probably
sad
do more
already.
than that, but on the AFI 100, unless we revisit it, penultimate.
Coming in at number 20, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, it's a good film. It's kind of a Christmas classic.
Yeah, and okay, so here's the thing about that, right? There is one scene at the end of the movie that has anything related to Christmas ever. And yet it's a Christmas movie.
But there's a lot of snow.
And he definitely does the the angel takes him to his past, which is sort of the Charles Dickens Christmas story,
That's a good point.
Christmas Carol. So basically, it's a riff on a Christmas Carol a little bit, and it has some Christmas stuff in it. And angels get their wings with bells, man. So, Christmas.
And I guess that's why we have bells at Christmas all the time now.
I don't know the origin of bells during Christmas.
I
Maybe
really
clock towers.
I really do enjoy It's a Wonderful Life. It's one
Church
of those
Tower.
movies that I like watching at least once a year. I'm going to start watching it not at Christmas though, just because.
Ooh,
Wow, rebel. Okay,
hipster.
I think this movie is interesting in a lot of ways because it is pretty brutal with its characters. You know, like the fact that like he goes deaf in one ear and like you get that early on is like, hey, can you say it in this ear because I'm a little deaf over there, and then you see it when he loses, you know, his hearing in that ear and what goes down. Like there is some brutality in this movie, which I think is necessary to bring you to kind of like this. But my life is actually pretty amazing. Right, like you have to go through the darkness to kind of get a sense of the light on the other side, and so just, you know, again, like I think that's one of the things that like say Christian films don't get very well because they they're unable or unwilling to get to that level of darkness in order to kind of turn it around.
Which is kind of fascinating for a group of people who believe in a savior who comes here to die.
Right, it is a little odd, but you know, whatever. Okay, but my point is that thinking back on the movie, I think that's the most shocking piece to me. Like that's the most memorable element of it is like just, you know, he's getting boxed in the ears and like it's just crazy, you know.
Yeah. All right. You have anything to say?
No, it's great.
Okay. Moving on, number 19. On the Waterfront.
Isn't that that could have been a contender?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know about that movie. That's all I care to know about that movie. Thank you.
On the Waterfront, I think one of my favorite parts of that film is the fact that there is a priest, a father character who actually I believe that you're actually a Catholic. Like I actually believe that you're a real true Catholic. You're not like a Hollywood representation of a Catholic. Like I believe that you are one, and that's awesome. Like it feels really good because he actually like is doing his thing and going through it with the guys and doing the stuff with it. Yeah. So there you go. I think that's my favorite part of that film. Favorite aspect of that film.
Yeah, this is not a movie that I have seen, and maybe I should have, but this is also why I'm the worst film student in the world. Sorry, Luke.
You got 1 point here. That's fine.
All right. Moving on to number 18, The General.
Buster Keaton?
That is correct.
Okay. Buster Keaton's great. I don't know if I remember The General specifically because it all kind of blurs together, and then like I start mixing that up with like some of Charlie Chaplin stuff. But no, Buster Keaton's great, and what's awesome about both him and Charlie Chaplin is just the sheer level of physical comedy stuff that those guys pull off. I do not remember The General specifically right now. Is that the train one?
There is a train on the poster, yes.
Okay, so there's some great stuff. You can look up these clips online and watch those, and maybe I'll link them, maybe. But like, there's some good stuff that these guys pull off. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, Buster Keaton's great. Let's move on.
Coming in at number 17 is The Graduate.
Okay, I've seen that movie. I actually know this movie. You got a lot. If you like Simon and Garfunkel, you're probably gonna dig this movie.
Simon Garfunkel, man, legit.
Simon and Gar, man.
So, this is one of those films where I really do think you have to have gone through a period in your life where you were aimless to understand where this movie goes. Because the whole thing starts with a guy out of college trying to figure out what to do with his life. And having experienced that in not the same way by any stretch, but like having experienced a certain level of restlessness, aimlessness, I've done the stuff I was told I need to do, but I really don't know what to do next, or I can't seem to get the next step. Once you've been there, I think you can watch this movie and understand and enjoy it. And I think it does age differently. I believe Roger Ebert, right? What's his name? Yeah, Roger Ebert. The film critic. Yeah. He watched it when he was young, and he loved it. He loved the movie. He thought it was a triumph. It was all on the side of the love of Dustin Hoffman's character and the girl. And he was all on that side. And he grew up some 20 years or 30 years, I don't know. And he watched it again and wrote another review saying, or wrote a commentary saying, I used to think this about this movie. Having gotten older now, I now see what's actually going on. And what's actually going on is it's not this like rebel movie and young love movie and fight the establishment. I actually now understand that the parents are right. And that the actual end of this movie is that these two characters who've run off to do this thing together are going to end up just like them. That's the whole problem. And that's what the parents are trying to save them from. And so The Graduate is racy and scandalous. It's got great Simon and Garfunkel music.
I mean, I would watch it just for the Simon and Garfunkel music, but
it's used well too. It's again the sound of silence, and he's just sort of like in the pool, or he's just like at his bed, or he's just thinking about things. And the movie has a lot of guts to basically let you just think about things, to just have moments of looking at characters, looking at things, or thinking about things, and you have to think about what they're thinking about, and it actually works. It's not boring. It actually works. It makes you get in those vibes.
Well, I should probably go back and rewatch it because I watched it while in film school. And so I wasn't yet at a stage in life where any of that made sense at all. So I remember watching it and I was like, this has a really like Ferris Bueller's Day Off vibe, but like on a very different, like totally different
right.
Like it's like the mirror version of it or something.
I want there to be a poster that says "Graduate." Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but in the '60s.
Right? Yeah. It has that vibe, but it's weird, and it like I did not get it.
I'm laughing because I'm trying to go with you there on the Ferris Bueller's Day thing off. But Ferris Bueller's Day Off is so peppy and upbeat and talking to you and a humorous thing.
Yeah,
and
I know.
There's so much aim and purpose to everything. And this Graduate's about like it starts off with like the sound of silence. What are you trying to say? What specifically makes it come together?
I'm just like my memory of the movie is that it had that kind of same like you've got quirky characters doing odd things, you know, like and kind of a little bit like off to the side where you're not really following, you know, like I don't fully get Cameron, you know, like all that kind of stuff. But then at the same time, you're like, I get it. And so there's stuff that it just had, I don't know, maybe even shot composition. I don't know. Stuff in my memory is making it feel very similar.
You know what I think?
I should probably watch it again.
Yeah, you should watch it again. That's what I think.
Okay. All right. I might get something else out of it this time.
Maybe you might hate it, but you should probably just watch it again.
Coming in at number 16, we have Sunset Boulevard. Are you ready for your close-up?
I know that's a line in that movie.
Is this the one with the writer who gets in the relationship with the actress and like can't escape the actress?
1950 film noir, Billy Wilder, struggling screenwriter, and the actress, a former silent film star who draws him into her demented fantasy world
Let me just put it to you this way. I have not seen this film. I have heard about this film. What I've heard about this film tells me that I don't care to see this film. I may watch it at some point if I feel like I need to just, see what the AFI 100 got wrong this time. But, I don't particularly care.
I think my wife may have seen this movie.
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's really good. I just don't think
I had a professor in film school who was like all about this movie, and so he taught like the intro to film class, which means you basically watch what the film professor likes, which means I had to watch this movie. And man, is this a weird movie at times. Like, it really just is. And by the time the character said the famous line, I was like, oh, thank God it's over. And that was it.
Thank goodness this is over right now. What's the next one?
Coming in at number 15 is 2001: A Space Odyssey,
I saw this movie when I was on drugs.
which is probably the best way to see it.
I think it's the only way to see it.
I watched this movie while sober and in my right mind, and I think I was driven a little bit to not be in my right mind. Like, I actually no, wait. If I haven't seen this entire, no, I think I've.
See, here's
This is
the
the
thing.
hard part. It's hard to see because I've seen some of it, maybe all of it. I don't even know. I watched a very interesting video essay, if I can find it, link below, on 2001 Space Odyssey and all the meaning and what it's all about and how it actually matters. And I'm like, I would never spend this much time with this movie to like mine and dig up what you have dug up. And watching your video essay, I'm like, that is a really fascinating take on this movie.
But I don't
And
know.
I
it's
have
right.
no idea why anybody would bother to make this movie.
So I've seen this movie a couple times. I saw it once when I was growing up and promptly fell asleep for most of it and didn't feel like I missed anything, to be perfectly honest. They did bring it out in IMAX within the last couple of years, and so I did go with a group of guys and watch it in IMAX, and I actually enjoyed some of the parts that I missed when I was a kid. I was like, I don't remember this. Oh, this is actually kind of fun. But it is a long, slow movie, and ultimately, like, the point just feels lost to me at the end, right?
Well, there's a video essay you can watch.
And will explain everything to me. I don't recommend watching that video essay. I recommend if you want to see, like, classic space movie, just go watch this and don't care about it afterwards, because that's the best way to go.
To clarify, I got my wisdom teeth out. I was given some rather strong drugs to deal with that. And I thought to myself, I'm here on this couch at home. I need to see this movie. What do I call this movie as it being boring? Because I haven't really seen this whole thing. But I'm going to try to watch it. I'm on drugs. This is probably the best time to watch it I'm ever going to get in my life. Let's try it. And I watched it for the 2.5, 3 billion hours, whatever it is. And I think it sobered me up. I think I got sober.
What are you doing, Hal?
It was just.
Don't do that, Hal. Dave, how's the computer?
Yes, I understand that. I'm trying to say, this movie is like 3 different stories, right? There's like 3 different movies in this movie, and I don't really like any of them. And I don't think it's very. I think people think it's super intelligent. I don't think it's that intelligent. I think people think this is a masterwork by Stanley Kubrick, who they think everything he does is gold and whatnot. If I could quote Zoolander and quote Mugatu, who says, or everyone's like, Hansel, so hot right now, Hansel. That's the film where with Kubrick. Kubrick, so hot right now, Kubrick. He could take a crap, wrap it in tinfoil, put some fish hooks on it, sell it as earrings. That's Kubrick. That's Kubrick in the film world. He can do anything he wants, and he did. And 2001 is one of them. And the thing is, it is amazing on a visual level. On a visual level, on a special effects, visual effects level, it is amazing work. It is phenomenal work, especially when you consider it came out in the 60s. You didn't have Star Trek. You didn't have Star Wars. You didn't have Blade. You didn't have none of that. All that kind of grounding we have for science fiction wasn't there. On that level alone is probably what puts it that on the list. But is it a good movie? Is it a good story? Does it really mean much? It means something, but it's probably just nihilistic nonsense.
Yeah, Coming in at number 14, we have Psycho. The original, not the remake.
I wouldn't
Good.
hurt a fly. Yeah, I mean, okay, like this is interesting, right? Because Hitchcock, he's good at what he does.
Yep, he is.
And he uses chocolate syrup for blood, and he does all these kind of crazy things for it. I love the story of where the ratings board was like, "Hey, there's too much nudity in this movie," and so he sits on it and sends him the movie back, and they're like, "Thank you, you've cleared it up," and he's like, "No problem, you didn't change a thing because there was actually no nudity, but they just felt like there was." It's these kinds of masterful things that are going on with it. But it's also odd because, right, you take a film where you got a character who's doing a thing, and then that character dies. So, like, what?
I wish that hadn't been spoiled for me. I wish I didn't know that when I watched the movie. But it still works. It's still a good movie. But that is a huge... I mean, that's kind of like Alien, too, where at the time, no one knew who Sigourney Weaver was. They only knew the captain of the ship and who he was. And so they were watching the movie, and then he dies, like, halfway through the movie. And in Psycho, it's not even... Is it halfway, or is it like 40 minutes? It's like 30, 40 minutes into the movie. You think it's one movie, and then it completely shifts gears.
Yeah.
And she's down, and you're like, what are we watching now? Like, now what are we doing?
Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, that's pretty crazy, And then like the reveals at the end of like what's going on and what's been happening.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
There's some weird stuff that's going on with it, right?
Pretty hardcore, especially at the time.
Yeah.
But it's all right there in the title. It's all right there in the title.
Sure. Yeah. So it's effective. It's effective for what they're doing.
There is a movie that I think I might even like more than Psycho. It's called Hitchcock with, I believe, Anthony Hopkins playing Alfred Hitchcock during the time that he made Psycho. And I think that's far more interesting to see kind of how all that plays out, why he makes the choices he makes, what's going on. There's some really good scenes in that. I enjoyed that film. Psycho's a classic. It's really well known. It's definitely one of the original horror movies where you can do all those things, where you can change the character midway through, where you can really throw people for a loop, where it can be demented and meaningfully demented and disturbing, and it all sort of fits together. And yeah, so anyway.
All right. Getting to lucky number 13, Star Wars.
I haven't seen it.
Star Wars? What?
Dude. Oh, man.
If you haven't been watching this video podcast for more than like 2 episodes, this is one of all of our favorite movies. It's one of those movies that literally got us all into film. I didn't watch it for the first time until I was actually in middle school, and I was fortunate enough to run out and buy the VHS tape right before the original VHS tapes like went out of print, such that I didn't have to buy the special editions with all the added effects and whatnot.
McClunky.
I think this is one of the greatest show me, don't tell me movies in terms of storytelling, even though there's a lot of just telling you what's going on. They don't need to explain a lot of the stuff because you are just in the world and they just expect you to like, oh yeah, I know what's going on here. And
the movie's good. And, Darth Vader's great, and he's in it, I think, for like 7 minutes, somebody pointed out. Like this is a great villain, one of the most recognizable villains, and, like, he's not even in the film for 10 minutes. And you've got insane special effects. You've got, like, really cool stuff going on. It's very fun. And the movie was completely saved by editing. Video link below. It's great.
Star Wars is great. You've probably seen it. And if you haven't seen the original Star Wars and you've seen any of the other Star Wars material,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm very sorry.
And
so very, very sorry.
And I would just say that you haven't seen Star Wars. You need to see Star Wars. You need to know what it's actually all about.
Well done. Try and keep an open mind going into it if you've seen the other junk that's out there from the Star Wars universe. Like, this is so just, I mean, I watched the one movie and was just so taken by it, where most of the other Star Wars stuff that we've gotten since then, well, after the original trilogy anyways, has been something completely different. It really has. Um,
I think I've said this on this podcast before, and the editing, saving it in the editing is huge because there's lots of fun stuff. It sets the standard for filmmaking in the sense of fantasy, science fiction, special effects, and it just all that kind of stuff. But really, watch the movie, get to that last sequence, get all the way to the end when they're doing the Death Star trench run, and tell me you don't get some level of exhilaration. That trench run is just so good. It's such good filmmaking. It's such good, fun stuff. And if you haven't seen it and you didn't grow up with it like we did, I'm sorry, because you may never have that kind of feeling from that. So what does that for you? Let us know.
all right. Coming in at number 12 is The Searchers.
John Wayne.
Yes.
Haven't even heard of it, but that's not surprising because Westerns.
Do you not like Westerns?
Not particularly.
But yet you like
Are
Star
you an
Wars, which is a
American?
space Western.
Space Western and samurai movie and
Mm,
fantasy
this is
movie
true.
and serials.
And like World War II bomber.
Yeah, World War II dogfighting movie.
They literally say one of the greatest and most influential films ever made.
Well, yeah, because it's number 12.
I haven't seen The Searchers, but I've heard that it's a very, very good movie. I feel like you need to know
I just
John Wayne
heard that-
before and after The Searchers.
I
The
just heard that it is
US
a movie.
The U.S. Library of Congress.
Okay, Scott, have you seen this movie?
No.
Okay, well then stop talking. Moving on.
The U.S. Library of Congress deemed this culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant.
Didn't they do that with like some piece of crap movie too? Anyway, let's yeah. Well, yeah.
Wow, so here we are at number 12,
And we still haven't seen
and we
movie.
haven't seen this film.
Tell us which one of us is the worst film student in the world. You decide.
Rounding out today's list is coming in at number 11 is City Lights.
I haven't seen City Lights.
I haven't seen City Lights.
Comment below and tell us which one of us is the worst film student of all time.
Have you seen City Lights, Scott?
No, I have not. But this is a Charlie Chaplin movie.
Oh, well, maybe I've seen it then.
How many Chaplin movies do you need on the list?
A 1931 American pre-code silent romantic comedy film written, produced, directed, and starring Charlie Chaplin.
Well, it's hard to say because, like, it all blends together for me. I mean, I'm sure it's different, but, like, so maybe I've seen, I don't know. We like Charlie Chaplin for his physical comedy. It's pretty amazing. He makes movies with his friends. It's great.
It does not end with a bang, but
With
with
a
a whimper.
All right, gentlemen, on that note, we are going to make our recommendations from this list of 10.
Read them.
At number 20, it's
I'm
A
weeping.
Wonderful Life. 19, On the Waterfront. 18, The General. 17, The Graduate. 16, Sunset Boulevard. 15, 2001, A Space Odyssey. 14, Psycho. 13, Star Wars. 12, The Searchers. And 11, City Lights. Go ahead, steal it. Someone, one
Watch
of you steal
The
it.
Graduate.
Ooh.
You should just know. I think it's a good in between. Some of these movies, I mean, they go back a long ways to early filmmaking. And Graduate's not that. Like, it's far away now, but it's kind of fascinating, even just as a cultural look at thought processes during the '60s and I don't know. There is something about The Graduate in the performances, in the direction, the filmmaking that's very good. The music is good. It's a cultural touchstone, and just for the fact that Roger Ebert had such different viewpoints on it in the course of his life, it makes me think it has a value, if no other reason, to go and just see it so you just know what you think about it, which actually might tell you a little bit more about what you think about culture and life more than just what you think about this movie.
Well, reading through the list, I was like, well, Star Wars, because all the other ones, I'm like, whatever. So there you go.
And we've already explained this time and time again of why you should watch Star Wars. So on that note, I will take It's a Wonderful Life because it really is a
A
good
Wonderful Life.
introspective movie because it's hard to watch it and not think to your own life, right? It really is. And so
Great film.
from that standpoint, I think even today it still works. Like every time I watch it, I still go back to that place of being introspective.
Better
So
than The Graduate.
yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you again next time. Luke, are you going to say goodbye? Luke, are you going to fall asleep on me?
Time to say goodbye.
He could have been a
We
contender.
don't have the rights to that song, Luke. Can you please stop singing it?
He can't shake him. Cuckoo, cuckoo, Mrs. Robinson. He said that one. Some other famous line I can't remember from one of those movies I haven't seen.
Where have
No wonder
you
you can't
gone,
remember.
Joe DiMaggio?
Our nation turns its lonely eyes to you.
Okay, let's get on with it.